The prompt describes a chilling, supernatural scenario where the protagonist experiences a recurring, unexplained phenomenon, knocking on their apartment door at 3:33 a.m. every night. Living alone on the 13th floor, the isolation and the specific timing add to the eerie atmosphere. The absence of anyone on the hallway security cameras deepens the mystery, suggesting something otherworldly. When the protagonist finally opens the door, they encounter a doppelganger, a figure that looks identical to them but is distinctly not human, implying an uncanny or horrifying presence. If you're asking for an analysis, the prompt sets up a psychological horror narrative with themes of isolation, fear of the unknown, and identity disturbance. The doppelganger trope often symbolizes inner conflict, suppressed fears, or a confrontation with one's darker self. The specific time, 3:33 a.m., could carry symbolic weight, often associated with the witching hour in folklore, amplifying the supernatural vibe. The 13th floor adds another layer of ominous supertar. The air in my apartment felt heavier than usual that night, thick with the kind of silence that presses against your eardrums. The knocking started right on cue, 3 sharp raps, precise, at 3:33 a.m. I'd grown used to it over the past 2 weeks, the way it shattered my sleep like clockwork. At first, I thought it was a prank, maybe some bored neighbor with a twisted sense of humor. But the security footage never showed a soul in the hallway. Just an empty stretch of faded carpet and flickering fluorescent lights. I'd ignored it for days, triple-checking the deadbolt, shoving earplugs in, even blasting white noise through my headphones. But the knocks always cut through, sharp and insistent, like they were coming from inside my skull. Last night, something snapped. Maybe it was exhaustion or curiosity, or just the gnawing dread that I couldn't keep pretending this wasn't happening. I had to know. I crept to the door, my bare feet cold against the hardwood. My hand hovered over the deadbolt, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. The knocking came again, tap, 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 slow, deliberate. I checked the peephole first, like always. Nothing. Just the empty hallway, bathed in that sickly yellow light. I took a breath, unlocked the door, and yanked it open. There I was, standing in the hallway. Except it wasn't me. It looked like me. Same messy hair, same tired eyes, same faded t-shirt I'd worn to bed. But something was wrong. Its skin was too smooth, like polished wax. Its eyes were too wide, unblinking, and the pupils were just off, like they didn't quite fit in the sockets. It stood perfectly still, head tilted slightly, like it was studying me. A smile crept across its face, slow and wrong, showing too many teeth. I froze, my breath catching, every instinct screaming to slam the door. But I couldn't move. It raised a hand, my hand, and knocked again, 3 times right on the doorframe, never breaking eye contact. "You're late," it said in my voice. But the words sounded hollow, like they were echoing from somewhere deep and empty. I stumbled back, my legs barely holding me up. What are you?" I managed to choke out. It didn't answer. It just stepped forward, crossing the threshold into my apartment. The air seemed to ripple around it, like heat rising off asphalt. I scrambled for the light switch, flicking it on, but the room stayed dim, the bulb buzzing faintly, as if it couldn't compete with whatever this thing brought with it. It stopped in the middle of my living room, turning slowly to face me. That smile again. "You shouldn't leave me out there," it said. "It's cold." I don't know how I found the strength, but I bolted for the door, slamming it shut and throwing the deadbolt. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely turn the lock. I pressed my back against the door, waiting for the knocking to start again, but it didn't. Silence. Too much silence. I grabbed my phone, fumbling to pull up the security app for the hallway camera. The feed loaded, and my stomach dropped. The hallway was empty. No trace of it. But then I heard it, a faint tap, tap, tap. Not from the door. From inside. I spun around. The apartment was dark, the shadows pooling in the corners like ink. The tapping was coming from the bathroom down the hall. Slow, rhythmic, deliberate. My phone slipped from my hand, clattering to the floor. I wanted to run, to scream, but where could I go? This was my home. And that thing, it was still here. I grabbed a kitchen knife, the blade trembling in my grip, and inched toward the bathroom. The door was ajar, a sliver of darkness spilling out. The tapping stopped. I held my breath, nudging the door open with my foot. The mirror above the sink caught the faint glow from the living room, and in it, I saw my reflection. Except it wasn't me. It was it, standing there, smiling that awful smile. I spun around, knife raised, but the bathroom was empty. Just me, just the mirror. The darkness swallowed the bathroom whole, the kind of black that makes you doubt your own eyes. My breath was shallow, ragged, the kitchen knife slick in my sweaty palm. The silence was worse than the tapping, like the apartment was holding its breath, waiting for something to break. I fumbled for the light switch, my fingers scraping against the wall, but it was useless. The power was gone. My phone was still in the living room, its faint glow probably dead by now, too. I was alone with the dark, and whatever that thing was. I backed out of the bathroom, my bare feet sticking to the cold floor, every step deliberate to avoid making a sound. The air felt wrong, heavy with a metallic tang, like ozone after a storm. I gripped the knife tighter, my knuckles aching, and strained to listen. Nothing. No tapping, no footsteps, no breathing but my own. Yet I could feel it, its presence, like a weight pressing against my skin, watching from somewhere. Then the lights went out. Made it to the living room, my eyes adjusting just enough to make out the shapes of furniture. The couch, the coffee table, the outline of the door I'd locked. I needed to get out, to run, to find someone, anyone who could prove I wasn't losing my mind. But as I reached for the deadbolt, a low hum started, barely audible, like a tuning fork vibrating deep in my chest. It was coming from behind me. I turned slowly, the knife raised, my heart hammering so loud I was sure it could hear it. The hum grew, not louder but deeper, sinking into my bones. In the far corner of the room, where the shadows were thickest, something moved. It was subtle at first, a ripple in the dark, like water disturbed by a pebble. Then it stepped forward, and there it was again, me but not me. Its head was tilted at that same unnatural angle, its two wide eyes glinting faintly, like they were catching light that wasn't there. The smile was gone, replaced by a blank, unreadable expression that was somehow worse. "You can't leave," it said, its voice, my voice, flat and cold, like it was stating a fact. "You invited me in." "I didn't invite you," I shouted, my voice cracking. I brandished the knife, more to convince myself than to threaten it. "Get out. Whatever you are, just get out." It didn't flinch. It took another step, its movements jerky, like a marionette with half its strings cut. "You opened the door," it said. "You let me in. You've been letting me in every night." My stomach twisted. Every night? I'd never opened the door before. I'd checked the locks, the cameras, everything. But the way it said it so certain made my skin crawl. Had I done something without knowing? Sleepwalking? Dreaming? Or was it lying, trying to worm its way into my head? "What do you want?" I whispered, backing toward the door again. My shoulder brushed the wall, grounding me just enough to keep from collapsing. Didn't answer right away. Instead, it raised a hand, my hand, and pointed at the knife. "You don't need tea." "That," it said. "You can't hurt what's already here." Then it pointed at my chest, its finger lingering too long, like it could see something I couldn't. "You're tired, aren't you?" "So tired. I can help with that." I didn't wait to hear more. I spun, fumbled with the deadbolt, and yanked the door open. The hallway was pitch black, the fluorescent lights dead. I didn't care. I ran, my bare feet slapping against the carpet, the knife still clutched in my hand. The elevator was at the end of the hall, but when I mashed the button, nothing happened. No hum of machinery, no light behind the buttons. The stairwell was my only option. I threw open the stairwell door and started down, taking the steps two at a time, my breath hitching as I counted floors. 12, 11, 10. I didn't know where I was going, just that I had to get away. But every few steps, I heard it, that faint tap, 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 echoing somewhere below me or maybe above. I couldn't tell. The sound was everywhere, bouncing off the concrete walls, burrowing into my skull. By the time I reached the ground floor, my legs were burning, and my lungs felt like they'd collapse. I burst into the lobby, expecting to see the night guard or at least a flicker of streetlights through the glass doors. But the lobby was empty, the front desk abandoned, the doors locked. Outside, the city was unnaturally still. No cars, no pedestrians, just a gray fog pressing against the glass. I turned back to the stairwell, my chest heaving, and that's when I saw it, standing at the far end of the lobby, half hidden in the shadows.
Me.
Not moving, not speaking, just watching. Its eyes locked on mine, and for a split second, I swore I saw something flicker in them. Not malice, not hunger, but sadness. Like it was trapped, too. Then it raised its hand and knocked, tap, 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 on the air itself. The sound hit me like a wave, and the world tilted. My vision blurred, the knife slipping from my fingers as I stumbled. The last thing I saw before everything went black was its face, my face, smiling again, but this time it looked almost relieved. When I came to, I was back in my apartment sprawled on the living room floor. The lights were on, the deadbolt locked, my phone sitting neatly on the coffee table. The clock on the wall read 3:32 a.m. I scrambled to my feet, checking the door, the windows, the bathroom mirror. Everything was normal. Too normal. No knife, no fog, no trace of anything wrong. But as the clock ticked over to 3:33, the knocking started again. The knocking hit like a punch, 3 sharp raps that echoed through the apartment. My heart seized, the air turning to ice in my lungs. I stood frozen in the living room, staring at the door, the clock's red glow burning 3:33 a.m. into my vision. The knife was gone, the lobby chase, or whatever that was, felt like a fever dream, but the knocking was real. Too real. I wasn't going to open the door again. I couldn't. But deep down, I knew it didn't matter. That thing, or whatever it was, didn't need an invitation anymore. The tapping stopped, but the silence was worse. It wasn't empty. It was alive, pulsing with intent. I backed away from the door, my eyes darting to every shadow, every corner. The lights flickered, just for a second, and I heard it, a faint hum, like before, vibrating in my chest. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, making me jump. The screen lit up, showing the security app open to the hallway feed. I hadn't touched it. The footage was live, the timestamp ticking in the corner, but the hallway was empty. No one. Nothing. Then the camera glitched, the image stuttering, and for a split second, I saw it, standing there, head tilted, staring straight into the lens with those 2 wide eyes. I dropped the phone, my hand shaking. "Leave me alone," I screamed, my voice raw, breaking the suffocating quiet. The hum grew louder, sharper, like a swarm of insects burrowing into my skull. I stumbled to the kitchen, yanking open drawers, sirchi. Halfway down the hall, the temperature dropped, a sudden chill that made my breath fog. The flashlight flickered, its beam stuttering. I smacked it against my palm, but it only dimmed further. Then I heard it, a faint hum, like before, vibrating deep in my bones. It was coming from behind me. I turned, and there it was, standing at the far end of the hallway. Me, but not me. Its wax-smooth skin gleamed faintly in the dying light, its eyes too large, too dark, fixed on me. It didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there with that awful, blank expression. The crowbar felt heavy in my hand, useless. I opened my mouth to speak, but it raised a finger to its lips, my lips, and shook its head. "You don't understand," it said, its voice a hollow echo of mine. "You're not supposed to be here." "What are you?" I demanded, my voice shaking but loud, defiant. "Why do you keep coming back?" It tilted its head, like it was puzzled by the question. "I'm you," it said. "The you that stays. The you that belongs." It took a step forward, its movements jerky, unnatural. "This place, it's mine. You're the one who doesn't fit." My grip tightened on the crowbar. "This is my home. My life. You're the fake." It smiled then, slow and wrong, showing too many teeth. "Am I?" it whispered. "Look around. Look at you. Always alone. Always afraid. You don't live here. You just exist. Its words hit harder than they should have, digging into doubts I'd buried long ago. The late nights, the empty apartment, the way I'd stopped calling friends, stopped leaving unless I had to. Was that why it was here? Had I let something in, not just by opening the door, but by letting myself unravel? No, I said, more to myself than to it. You're not me. You're nothing. I swung the crowbar, aiming for its head. But the moment it connected, the thing dissolved, like smoke scattering in the wind. The crowbar hit the wall, sending a jolt up my arm. The flashlight went out completely, plunging me into darkness. I stumbled back, heart pounding, waiting for the tapping, the hum, anything. But there was nothing. Just silence. I fumbled my way back to the apartment, locking the door behind me. The lights were back on, the clock ticking normally.
3:35 nachts.
I sank to the floor, crowbar still in hand, and waited. Minutes passed. Then hours.
No knocking. No.
Just the quiet hum of the fridge, the distant sound of a car outside. Morning came, gray light filtering through the curtains, and still nothing. I checked the security footage later that day. The hallway was empty all night, no sign of me or it. I started to wonder if I'd imagined everything, if exhaustion and isolation had finally cracked me. But when I went to the bathroom to splash water on my face, I froze. The mirror showed me, same messy hair, same tired eyes. But for a split second, my reflection blinked when I didn't. I don't sleep much anymore. I keep the crowbar by my bed, the flashlight charged. The knocking hasn't come back, not yet. But sometimes, late at night, I catch my reflection in a window or a screen, and it feels like it's watching me. Waiting. I don't know what it wants, or if it's even separate from me anymore. All I know is that every night, at 3:33 a.m., I hold my breath and listen for the sound I hope never comes again.